30 segundos, chavales. I was here. I was here. Es vuestro momento. I was here. Alex, traza teta gorda. Vale. ¡No me baites así! ¡Me cago en tu muerto! ¡No me baites así!
For the Alliance!
El próximo capítulo comienza aquí.
For Azara!
Hi everyone, I'm John
¡Míralo!
Haidt, General Manager for
¡Hazi
Warcraft.
Friki!
With me today are my friends Ian Hazacostas, who is the Game Director for World of Warcraft, and Holly Longdale, who leads up the production team.
Míralo, mi Hazi Friki,
for
mi Hazi Costa.
Classic. I really appreciate you tuning in. I know we're really excited to be able to give you updates on what's happening in World of Warcraft. But first, I want to thank our community for all the feedback you've given us this year, and especially our community council. You've helped shape and influence the updates that we've done recently and what you're going to see in the upcoming year.
I mean, really, for Shadowlands in particular, the story of the last 9 months or so of this expansion is all about the community, and it's shaped by what we've been hearing from them, and us realizing as a team
Ojalá
that we just collectively
empiece la siguiente expansión, trabajen con la comunidad,
And so that led us to the changes we made in 9.15.
Ojalá.
But also really re-examining some of the assumptions and foundations of World of Warcraft about
voy a hacer un zoom normal, un momento.
investment and mains versus alts, or how cash should work, or the appropriate role.
Los subtítulos se ven, ¿no? O los tapo. No se tapan, ¿no?
Step in the direction of letting players have more freedom.
No se tapan, ¿verdad?
Warcraft the way they want to play it. And we really built our Eternity's End content.
Pues el límite está justo aquí.
Around those principles.
What are some of the things that the community said that influenced your decisions for Eternity's End?
Things like the method and pacing of acquisition of the
el 9.2 ha sido un buen parche en tema de escuchar a la gente, y el 9.15 también. Ojalá para la beta de la siguiente, de verdad, hayan aprendido la lección. Ojalá.
So, WoW Classic was really came about because of the community.
Yeah, they continue to help guide and support us as Classic evolves.
World of Warcraft has always been about the world and the players that inhabit it, and we are in a lot of ways curators and caretakers of that journey and of that experience. And so once this classic community formed and grew, we had to listen to them.
And where we really saw a sea change in this idea is with our Season of Mastery round, which is a season of fresh start.
Sigo pensando que Season of Mastery es una muy buena idea, ¿eh? Y espero que para Shadowlands el Season of Mastery que van a hacer también esté chulo, ¿eh?
La
verdad que lo espero.
Yeah, the team just took that idea and ran with it and turned, you know, what started out as a small community project into this Soul of Iron system that became a centerpiece of Season of Mastery and a whole new opt-in hardcore mode that we've seen communities built around. Lots of, you know, thrilling victory and painful defeat.
5 hours. I made it 5 hours.
Yeah. And it continues, like Burning Crusade Classic. We wanted to balance the Paladin.
Ahí los subtítulos se ven ahí perfecto.
So we made an addition there. We wouldn't have gotten there without the community's input.
Estamos hablando mucho de comunidad. Ojalá hagan caso.
Another update and pretty significant controversial change for this.
Yeah, cross-faction play coming.
Cross-faction, es verdad.
Which is on our public test ROM now as a big centerpiece.
Cross-faction. Yep. You're breaking with a 17-year tradition.
Yeah, it's something. It was not an easily made decision by any means, you know. And I think this is another one of those areas where really we try to take to heart community feedback and requests and ask ourselves as a team whether there's a way
Nueva expansión con mis padres hablando con el director del instituto porque me han quedado 7.
The players desire to play with their friends who might prefer a different faction, or to play with the faction that they more closely identify with, even though they're raised elsewhere.
It's really important for me. I play a lot of alts, and I love absorbing the story for each race, and having that ability to play with all of my friends across factions is fantastic.
At the end of the day, the battle cry is for the Horde. It's not against the Alliance. It's not death to the Alliance. It's about pride in one's faction. And I think there's a way to preserve that and even strengthen that while giving players the ability to make the same choice we've seen the greatest heroes make time and time again.
I can't wait to do this. I'm seeing a lot of my friends that I never knew had a max level character in the other faction suddenly come out of the woodwork.
And then, with these cross-faction groups, many of them are going to be diving into something new that we're doing to kind of cap off Shadowlands, a Season 4.
Temporada 4. Espero que esté guay la temporada 4, tío.
All of our raid zones across the expansion.
No sé si son los Mastery.
Some familiar older favorites into the Mythic Plus rotation. And, we recognize this is kind of a closing chapter, a little bit of a send-off to Shadowlands.
La despedida de Shadowlands.
Ready for what happens next, and what will come next. Want to give, a fun new challenge for everyone to sink their teeth into.
Se
really
viene.
Cool stuff for Modern WoW players. I'm super excited about the gear upgrades that you're going to give me and the chance to go back and play some of those awesome raids.
There's a lot to explore. Very exciting.
For our next adventure in World of
Nuestra
Warcraft,
siguiente aventura.
we're going to go back to Azeroth. We're going to a space with high fantasy. I mean, our fans of Azeroth for a long time.
Un lugar de alta fantasía que los fans llevan pidiendo mucho tiempo. Parte de los cimientos de la historia del juego. Isla de los dragones.
Without further ado,
Isla de los dragones. Cinemática. Isla de los dragones. Hace 10.000 años.
The world has been sundered. It cries out in pain. We must go to its aid. We entrust our ancestral home to you, the Watchers.
¿Estos son como titanes o algo así? Bueno, son los vigilantes, ¿no?
Let the land slumber, hidden even from our own eyes. You will feel our return in the waking of the land. Then you must light the beacon of Tearhold, lest the path home be lost to us forever.
Isla de los dragones, ¿eh? Está como volviendo a encenderse toda la isla, ¿no? Supongo. Esto es como la forja de los titanes, donde está el alma de Azeroth, supongo, ¿no? Para despertar al titán, ¿no? Supongo. Vale, trazo teta gorda. ¡Ahí está! Todos los vuelos, ¿eh? Todos los vuelos.
The world is healing, but her fate is yet uncertain. Together, we shall be Azeroth's protectors once again.
Ahí está, dragones, chavales.
The new age of dragons.
Y el frame que le quedó el tío. Ahí está el logo. Ahí está el logo. Dragonflight.
Dragons!
Dragons.
This is so cool.
No
Era
one saw
real
it.
el logo,
No one
¿eh?
saw it
Era
coming.
real el logo.
Carefully kept secret. But seriously, I mean, what did we just see there?
The awakening of the Dragon Isles.
La isla de los
the return
dragones.
Of dragons.
Ahí está, vamos a
the
ella.
dawn of a new age. Right, we've seen Rathian searching for his father's legacy, searching for the Dragon Isles. There's a reason why he hasn't been able to find them until now.
The beacon going off, is that summoning the dragons?
It is removing the concealment that had hidden the Dragon Isles from the world, but also beckoning the dragons back urgently in a time of need.
I assume pretty
Tengo
good
que decir que la
variety of
cinemática
locales
en
within
sí-
the Dragon Isles. It's
Yes, the Dragon Isles, as kind of standard for WoW expansion, consist of 5 zones.
5 zonas.
4 standard leveling zones.
4 para subir de
and a new
nivel.
starter zone that we'll get to in a second.
Y una inicial.
Talk a little bit about how the team found ways to thread the dragon aspects throughout the
Cinemática
environment.
bonita, pero no me ha
The
despertado
Dragon
nada.
Isles are a place that is
Vamos a
lush
decir.
and primal, bursting with elemental energy.
Oh, qué
As
bonito.
Azeroth herself
Colores bonitos, hace falta, sí.
those
Colores
power
vivos.
forces are expressed throughout the environment, whether it's magma activity, volcanic activity, whether it's the icy wastes of the Azure Span. And each one of those has a connection to a Dragonflight that we've seen before. And it's going to be an amazing place for players to arrive at and explore.
all right, you know I'm going to ask.
Yes, okay, so
Can I be a dragon?
¿Puedo ser un dragón?
let's start getting into some features
Okay.
here and what Dragonflight means for you as well as just a place.
Ha preguntado, ¿puedo ser un dragón?
First off, yes, we have an all-new
Nueva
playable
raza.
race, the Drakthir.
Draxir. Era real.
This is
Draxir.
a Draken, a draconic race, but dragons in Warcraft
Raza
have the
dracónido.
ability to take on a humanoid form.
What classes can they be?
They have unique abilities. as
Habilidades
literally a dragon.
únicas.
That doesn't quite fit any of our existing classes. And so what we're doing is this is not just a new race, but it's also a new
Nueva clase y nueva
And
raza.
adding a new race to World of Warcraft, and not just an allied race, is something that we don't do lightly. But telling this expansion, this story, so focused around dragons, felt like the perfect time for it.
Dragones,
so
¿no?
if you are a Drakthir, you will be the evoker class.
Evocadores, al final las dos
Drakthir can
cosas,
only be
dragones y
evokers,
evocadoras.
evokers can only be Drakthir. And the reason why only a Drakthir could be an evoker is that an evoker is really combining the ability to call upon the magic of the different aspects with the unique physical gifts that a Drakthir has. The ability to actually take flight and do an Onyxia-style strafing deep breath over the battlefield, land on the other side, knock everyone back with a wing buffet, and then unleash your magical abilities.
Yes, please.
The evoker has 2 specializations. They are
Dos
a hybrid
specs.
of either ranged
De pesa,
DPS
distancia o healer.
and they wear
Bien.
mail armor. We figured,
Bien.
with the new hero classes we've added over the years, we have enough melee.
Ranged y healer. Bien, bien.
And also, probably
Bien.
don't need any more leather wearers.
The raid leaders are going to love you for that.
Exactly. This is definitely a hero class. And
Vale.
so that means that, like the Death Knights before them or Demon Hunters, they will be starting level 58, and then they're going to have a new starter zone. So they're going to
Nueva
have a
zona
slightly different
inicial.
journey into the Dragon Isles. as
Empiezan en
opposed
las
to
Islas
the rest of us
Dragón.
that are sailing there from other parts of Azeroth.
Can you talk a little bit about the customizations? Like what is going to be able to identify my Drakthir character?
Customización.
Basically anything and everything. Skin color, hair color, jewelry.
Oh, la
tattoos,
forma humana es muy
other
bonita,
adornments.
¿eh?
You can make this character the expression.
A ver, la forma de dragón no me gusta. La forma de dragón es muy fea.
New class,
Pero la forma humana me
new
gusta.
race. Well, tell us about some of the system updates or features.
Of course, the new expansion brings with it, new systems, new features. I think in recent expansions, one of the things we've tended to do is really have these deep features that were closely tied to a specific expansion that would then get left behind.
Vale, bien, me gusta esto.
And we've heard
Me gusta
loudly
esto.
from players that, it's kind of a bummer to start off every new expansion by leaving a large part of your character.
Es decir, antes dejar atrás todo tu personaje y toda la progresión de la expansión.
This time around,
Me gusta
what
esto.
we're doing is really pouring all of our energy into permanent revamps, overhauls, and improvements to World of Warcraft's core system.
Me encanta esto.
Our progression systems.
Nada de poder en la expansión.
Is something that we want to completely
Sistema de
revamp.
talentos.
We want to take a look at our UI.
Interfaz.
We want to take a look at professions.
So
Profesiones.
with the talent revamp and the arrival
Que lo tocas desde cero, me
of Classic,
encanta.
Did you learn anything about how our talents work?
Muy buena esta.
Seeing a new generation of players play with those talents and work through those talent trees really underscored some of the things that, frankly, we lost when we shifted to the Mists of Pandaria style talents and beyond.
Van a volver a los talentos antiguos.
Was some of just the granularity, the feeling of getting a level and spending.
Rama de talentos antigua. Se confirma. Rama de talentos antigua.
Specific way, but also, that sense of hybridity that you could have. That's something that we've largely lost, and so the new talent system avoids directly.
Ahí está.
Player power,
O sea, literalmente sí.
directly against those sort of
La imagen que vimos antes.
because we know that there's always a right
Rama de
outcome there.
talentos.
And we also understand that
Para jugar
there's
híbrido.
a lot of strength in the flexibility of the modern talent system to let players customize their talents for a particular encounter or for dungeons versus PvP, and we don't want to lose any of them.
Vuelve.
So John, UI?
Oh my God. Yes, I got this 30-inch monitor trying to keep track of where I am on the map, all my buffs, and over here, what's going on in chat. It has literally made my eyes go like this. So,
You're not alone in that. We've made a lot of incremental changes and additions over the years, but really this is a revamp. This is an overhaul. And
Revamp de la
we're
interfaz.
excited to really modernize the look and feel while staying true to the origins of World of Warcraft. Now, at the same time, we're not looking to take away the sort of power user customization there. Add-ons are still there if you want them.
Los add-ons
but we
siguen,
want
evidentemente.
A much better default out-of-the-box experience for all players.
Pero quieren que no te haga falta para poner
if I
add-on para tener
reduce
interfaz chula. Me
elements
gusta
or
eso.
new elements, if I want to explore the world and see the beauty of Azeroth.
When it comes to
Esto es God, ¿eh? Podemos ver la interfaz sin Elbuy. Eso es God, ¿eh? Sin necesidad de add-ons. Eso
You
es God.
mentioned professions.
Eso es God.
I have a critical question about this.
Eso es God.
Go on.
Can I wear a chef's hat?
Yeah, I knew it.
Our
Profesiones.
approach to professions in Dragonflight is really all about delivering on fantasy and identity as a crafter. And so, if you want to be a serious blacksmith, if
¡Qué
you want to
guapo
be a great
esto!
leather worker, we want to deliver the ability to invest time and energy into that, become a master crafter, be able to make items that are in demand, interact with the community. One of the big pieces that we want to do to support that is a new
Rework a
work order
los
system
profesiones,
to have a bit more convenience than just spamming trade chat all day. But if you are someone, you're not yourself a blacksmith, but you have a bunch of mats and you want them forged into a great sword, you can put that work order up, list your mats, offer a commission, and
Puede ofrecer pedidos en la subasta. ¡Qué guapo!, ¿no?
I think we left out one thing, though. You can be a Dracthyr, go to Dragon Isles.
¡Qué
and
guapo!
I have a dragon.
What's the fantasy of dragons if not soaring over the lands? And so we're really excited to introduce a feature that we're calling dragon riding.
Podemos
It's
montar en
dynamic
dragones.
with, everything
¿Qué?
from
¿Cómo
momentum
entrenar a tu
to dive
dragón literalmente,
bombs,
eh?
The ability to, just sort of build that speed up and feel the world rushing past you in a way that should be much more exciting
¿Cómo entrenar a tu
than
dragón?
traditional flight that we've made available in the past. But that's also available for players through a customizable dragon mount.
Montura
right from
dragón
the start.
personalizable desde el principio.
This is a skill you learn over time, right, to become an awesome dragon rider?
Yes, you'll be able to sort of upgrade aspects of your flight, but you will have this new form of flight from the start. And the Dragon Companion that you have is, of course, very thoroughly customizable, which is a new thing for us for mounts. This is not just a generic dragon that everyone
Y cada uno puede tener su
but a
dragón.
drake that is yours.
Oh, qué
What do
chulo,
you want its
tío.
scales to look like, horns, the shape of its head, other attachments, armor pieces.
Qué
and
guapo.
more. Take your pick.
This is so cool.
So yes, the Dragonflight expansion is going to see players leveling to 70,
Nivel 70,
going to
¿vale?
the all-new continent of the Dragon Isles, which consists of 5 zones, 4 standard leveling zones, and a new starter zone for our Dracthyr class, as well as a range of systems revamps, such as a new talent
Los
system,
talentos,
an overhaul and update to our UI,
la
and an
interfaz,
entirely fresh look at
lo de las
professions
profesiones.
with more depth than ever before. Also getting around the Dragon Isles is going to come in the form of dragon riding, which lets you customize and upgrade your own mount so that
Qué
you
guapo ese
can fly
dragón,
in a
qué
sense from the
guapo.
start. And of course, as with
Qué
any
guapo.
new expansion, we have a new set of dungeons, a raid, and much more to
La
come.
mazmorra,
We also have an
banda,
alpha that
claro.
will be starting up in the future.
Check out our website for more information and keep an eye out for those opt-in signups if you want to help us test out Dragonflight and give us even more feedback to make it better.
We do have a deep dive that follows this, so please stay around.
Vale, y ahora un repaso a
Classic
fondo,
players, we haven't forgotten
Muy
about
bien.
you. You could probably guess where we're going to go next.
LK.
One of the all-time favorite expansions
LK.
from World of Warcraft.
Classic, ahí está.
Let's watch the cinematic.
We had forgotten. Did you think we had forgotten? Nothing, boys. I can see It's just begun. Not my king yet.
Watch you do this.
Argent Crusade, come for you and of your father! Of your people!
Son todas las mazmorras y las RAE no están pasando, ¿no?
My son,
Hijo mío.
the day you were born,
El día que naciste, hasta los bosques de los Daeron susurraron tu nombre.
Arthas. When my days have come to an end,
Ahí está.
you shall be
The King. La aventura en Classic continúa en 2022. Wrath of the Lich King Classic.
It's just incredible, isn't it? Every time I see the cinematic,
Ahí está.
I get
Este
chills.
año le
No
cae,
pun
¿eh?
intended, I get chills.
Este
As
año,
you
tío.
saw, Wrath of the Lich King Classic is coming this year. It brings back so many memories. When you see that cinematic, what do you remember from Wrath of the Lich King?
Anytime you want to talk about undead frozen dragons, how can you not go back to Sindragosa as the source? That was the
Qué
first
guapo,
expansion I played with my youngest son. So I can remember on that platform, black goo and chunks of ice falling off and having to repeat that battle with the Lich King. But when we finally downed him, it was such an incredible moment. He jumped up out of his room and I jumped up out of my office. We're like, yeah, did it. So it's a very lasting tale for me.
So as you know, with this expansion, you will in pre-patch be able to play the
En el pre-patch se podrá jugar DK, empieza en nivel 55. Y no tienes que tener un personaje para hacer un DK. Oh, eso está bueno, tío.
Give players some time before Wrath officially launches to get geared up and ready to jump in.
Y van a dar tiempo para que te pueda lever el personaje, de lujo.
There are so many zones and areas to explore in Northrend, and I
De
want
lujo.
us to talk about some of our favorites. So for me, Grizzly Hills has a very special
Colinas
place
pardas,
in my
colinas
heart.
mancas.
The music was some of the best I've experienced in World of Warcraft.
I still make my way all the way up to Storm Peaks to try and find the time-lost Protodrake and have yet to get it.
I've got to say Dragonflight. The wide open nature of the zone, Wormrest Temple in the center of it, it's an unforgettable expansion as both a developer and a player and kind of making that transition from one to the other.
Now let's talk about some changes. So
Cambios,
one thing
Aleka.
we looked at is Dungeon
¿Qué
Finder.
cambios van a
and
hacer?
It feels like how we envision Classic, Dungeon Finder is not a good fit for our community.
That was kind of the first step that may have eroded some of that social fabric. Now, as people have gone through the experience of going back to vanilla, rebuilding those groups, relying on each other, not wanting necessarily a random participant just to show up and then leave.
No van a poner buscador,
Yeah,
¿eh?
that makes total sense.
But today, you can do that in Shadowlands. You'll be able to do that in Dragonflight. It's a self-selected group of people who specifically want
Me parece
that
bien.
experience.
Yes.
Let's make sure.
Si no
that's
había
what we do.
buscador de mazmorra,
That
no vamos a
leads
ponerlo.
right
Muy bien.
into Arena teams in Burning Crusade Classic.
Muy bien.
So we listen to the community and we remove that because individual rating is preferable and a better experience for them than arena teams. Also, with Wrath of the Lich King, Barbershop, which allows you to customize your character. We're
Ah, la
going to be
peluquería
adding a
empezó
few more
en LK.
options that were not existing when
Guay.
Wrath launched. But also there's another side of this where we are not going to charge a real money fee. It was a paid character customization fee, right?
Yeah.
it seems the right thing to do that just be available in game.
Buscador pusieron en el capo. Han dicho que no lo van a poner, ¿eh?
Options to it,
Lo
right?
pondrán a lo mejor más
Sort of
tarde.
like spell batching in a sense. There's a lot of technical advancements, and it's not about the philosophy of what makes classic classic and what brings people together. It's just what's the better experience, and let's not artificially restrict something that we can provide a better version of just for the sake of nostalgia. And we're happy to say this is one of those
Guay.
cases.
So, Wrath, the level cap's being increased to level 80, so we'll be introducing a level 70 boost so that players who want to
Y puedes comprar un booster a nivel 70 para la gente nueva, para gente como yo, de lujo.
You can't apply it to a Death Knight, but you will be able to use it otherwise. And of course, we have Inscription, a whole new profession, so we're really excited about that.
Guay.
Yeah, and as we continue this road to Wrath, we're going to be looking to getting a lot more feedback on beta, and we'll make changes as we need to.
Such an exciting time to be playing World of Warcraft.
Qué
We have
guapo,
the
tío.
Return of the Wrath of the Lich King for classic fans.
LK en septiembre.
and taking us somewhere new.
Y Dragonflight en 2023,
We're so
¿eh?
excited to be able to bring these adventures to you. Don't forget, there's a deep dive on Dragonflight where you're going to get
Vale, no os vayáis, ¿eh? Ahora van a hablar de la expansión. Ahora van a hablar más a fondo de la expansión, ¿eh? No os vayáis.
See you in Azeroth.
Que no ha acabado esto, ¿eh? No ha acabado.
Northrend.
No ha acabado. Quedarse aquí, ¿eh? No ha acabado. Comienza el repaso a fondo de Dragonflight. Ahí está. Hilar la
Hi
historia.
there. Welcome to the Dragonflight Deep Dive. I'm Steve Denuser.
And I'm Taryn Gregory. Starting it off here, we're going to talk about the setting and the story of Dragonflight.
We've got this
Vale.
great expansion, exciting pre-render trailer that everyone just watched. So let's talk about the setting for Dragonflight, the Dragon Isles.
Dragon Isles have been known for a long time in Warcraft history as a mysterious place where the dragons came from long ago, but we never knew much more than that.
We're going to this place that is kind of the broodlands of all the Dragonflights, the place where they
La cosa es, ¿por qué vamos
where they
allí? No han
built
dicho por qué
their
vamos allí, ¿no?
civilization. The Dragon Isles was
No lo
the
han dicho.
center of the Dragon's kingdom when the world was young and the mortal races were just starting to form kingdoms of their own. But when the Legion invaded for that War of the Ancients, that sundering that resulted from the explosion of the Well of Eternity, broke the world.
Literal sundering of the continents of Azeroth.
¿Dónde está la isla?
And because of the breaking of the world, that
No las he
magic
visto. ¿Dónde están las islas?
drained
No las he
away,
visto en el
and the
mapa.
land went dormant. So they had to leave the Dragon Isles behind. And as we saw in the pre-render, they left behind some Titan Watchers to look
Vigías
over
de
the
los
land.
titanes son
And when
estos.
someday they hoped that elemental energy would resurge once again and draw the dragons home, reestablish their kingdom.
And that's when the message goes out to the flights and they feel it in their bones.
Now it's the time for the sky to light up with the colors of the aspects once again, and for Alex Straza and the others to come home. But
Vale.
the land has changed a lot in all these thousands of years they've been away, and some very old threats have awakened as well.
We're looking into the culture of dragons as they exist in Warcraft.
Dragons, as we know them today, were very different in the early past, the early history of Azeroth. They were
Ahora tienen
much more
tetas.
primitive, much more savage.
Ah,
What we
está
now
Galacron
know as
antes, ¿no?
proto-dragons.
And then some of the dragons.
Entonces, no
were
han hablado- no hay-
empowered to
no hay
become
Galacron,
the
¿verdad?
aspects. The
No hay
green
Galacron.
flight, red flight, blue flight, bronze flight, black flight, each with unique powers, each with the ability to protect the world in different ways. These pillars of draconic power appointed to defend.
Hay que levear, sí, al
Azeroth
70, hay que levear.
from threats
¿Qué opinas del sistema de talento? Regresar a lo antiguo. Me parece bien. A la gente antigua la tienes contenta, a las nuevas, algo nuevo. Está bien.
But also for nefarious reasons.
Cosas
in the
nuevas.
case of the Black Dragonflight led by Neltharion, who would become Deathwing.
And what we will find in Dragonflight is that some of these ancient divisions run deep. And so it begs the question, where do we go from here? If this is an opportunity to reclaim their legacy, to be
Vamos
the
a encontrarnos
protectors,
al vuelo
as the
negro
cinematic
otra vez,
mentioned,
allí.
that they once were.
To do that, they're going to need the help of our heroes, our players, to come to the Dragon Isles with them and face some of these reawakening challenges, because it's not just that this land is peacefully waiting for the dragons to return and reclaim it. There's those old enemies that have awakened as well.
Dragones malos,
One
¿no?
of those
¿Cuáles?
being a race of kind of elemental half-giants, the Jarden.
Semigigantes
The Dragon Isles isn't
elementales.
just populated by dragons or just by the Jarden. There's also
The Jarden.
many other occupants here in the Dragon Isles. They've been here either just recently
mamuts,
or
mira.
for a while, including a fan favorite coming back, the Tuskar.
That's going to be
Hostia,
awesome.
los
We've got
colmillar.
other
Qué
cultures
chulos.
there as well in the Dragon Isles. We're going to find out about a civilization of centaurs that predates the ones that arose on Kalimdor much later.
And some of our favorite characters that we've seen over the last few expansions, such as Rathian.
And
Rathian
whether
otra
he's
vez
ready
vuelve,
to
Camarón de
step
la
up
isla.
into a leadership
Era de
role,
esperar.
or if there are other
Igual
alternatives
Acción va a
out
estar con
there that
nosotros,
would be better
correcto.
suited
Va a estar con
to the
nosotros.
job of being the aspect of the Black Dragonflight.
Y va a ser el aspecto del vuelo negro, va a ser representante. Tiene
Players are going
sentido.
to be really excited about this expansion is the new playable race, the Drakthir.
That's right.
And this is
O sea,
something that
a vosotros os gusta el modelo de dragón, a mí no me gusta el modelo de dragón, de los Drakthir. Me gusta la forma humana, pero no el modelo dragón. No me gusta. De verdad, no me gusta.
That were kind of breaking away from the aspects and what they
Bueno,
wanted.
no me encaja para jugarlo
in
yo.
those first experiments, he took the essence of
Me gusta el
dragons, their
humanoide.
strength, their nobility, their wisdom, and he combined it with that scrappiness, that adaptability that the mortal races had, and he wanted to use that to create the ideal soldier in his mind, the Drakthir.
Las animaciones están chulas.
Exploration is really one of the key themes of this expansion. We're going to be going to this ancient place that the dragons left behind long ago. So we've made these huge zones with all kinds of places to delve into and find little treasures and little secrets tucked away. It's going to be a lot of fun for players to be exploring these landscapes.
Cambiará con la raza. No, solamente hay una raza nueva que puede ser solamente esta clase. Los Drakthir solamente pueden ser dragones.
And how it lost so much. And
Tú tienes pinta de ser la raíz, ¿no?
Return to that, to try to find your legacy, to try to figure out who you were before everything went awry. But there's questions, thematic questions of what does it mean to be true to your legacy? Are we going to repeat the mistakes?
Raza neutral, claro, puede ser horda, vale, claro. Bueno, es que hay cross-faction, ya da igual.
I think that's one of the reasons why the dragons see this now as the time that they have to return, and they have to step up once again as protectors of Azeroth. We're helping the dragons because the dragons have helped us in the past. So by using the Explorers League and the Reliquary together, that allows us to delve into some of that history.
And when I look upon the Dragon Isles and all of its visual splendor, I get so excited for the prospect of a truly Azeroth.
Hace falta colores vivos, Lo echaba de menos. Oh, modelo nuevo de Calecos. ¿Lo habéis visto? Modelo nuevo de Calecos,
Each one of them is trying to find their own flight.
Hacía falta un modelo nuevo si va a salir.
By the exploration and the potential for adventure and just new horizons within this world.
There's going to be old stories from that time past, that history that only the dragons knew for the longest time. We're going to be able to explore that.
It really feels like just a breath of fresh air.
So now we're going to turn things over to some of our colleagues who will take you on that deep dive into the locations,
vale, las ubicaciones y novedades de Dragonflight. Se viene. Vale.
Hello, I'm Stephanie.
I'm Josh.
I'm Jackie.
Wanda Wolf, ¿qué te crees que tengo? 7 años.
We're part of the teams that are building the first 2 zones, the Encounter in the Dragon Isles.
Mi chotito gordo, negro y cabezón.
And the
En fin, bueno.
The very first zone in Dragonflight you're going to come to is the Waking Shores.
Waking Shores.
It's wild, untamed land. It's waking up around you too, and the elements are just going crazy.
The art team again has hit it out of the park.
You'll see like a lava mountain flowing in through the beach, giant proto-dragons swooping down, gobbling up members of your expedition.
El equipo de arte se saca la polla siempre,
opportunities to show elementals rising up because of the crazy magic that's flying around.
Mucha naturaleza, me gusta, me gusta.
It's just how you get to the Dragon Isles, right? So you're going to get on your boat in Stormwind or Orgrimmar, and the first thing you do is sail between like the dragon ruin architectures. The boats come right alongside each other. You can jump from one boat to the other and just start causing havoc on the other faction's boat.
For those who love PvP, this is a great opportunity for War Mode.
It's free for all out there.
Qué guapo, cuando empieza la expansión estamos en barco y podemos pegarnos. Está chulo eso.
On the beach, so that if you're in that situation and you don't want to be in War Mode anymore, you can just hop out right there.
The Reliquary and the Explorers League are working together.
The Horde and Alliance are sending an expedition together. It's not the military, it's not the soldiers. This is the scientists, the settlers, exploring this new land. So it's a lot more optimistic tone.
One of my favorite things about the Waking Shores is the Red Dragonflight, led by Queen Alexstrasza,
la imagen,
the Life
ahí
Binder.
está.
They have the mandate of
Ahí está la imagen.
nurturing and protecting all life, which means Horde and Alliance, Gorloks, trolls, everybody. So they take that duty seriously. When the Horde and the Alliance come to the Waking Shores, they want to be there to help guide the people through the new land and welcome them. But they're not the only one in the Waking Shores.
We have the ancestral home of the Black Dragonflight there too,
el hogar
which
ancestral
is
del vuelo
a
negro.
tough time since Deathwing's descent. And so Rathian's coming over to the Isles with us, and he's going to try and come to terms with the state of the Dragonflight, which is a few loyal Draconids and Dragon Spawn trying to hold their ground. What can the future of the Dragonflight be if it's just Rathian? Because it's not just the dragons that are coming back to the Dragon Isles, but also their longtime rival, the Jarden.
I love the Jardins so much. They're
Oh, qué modelo más
half-giants
chulo.
that wield the power of magma. And when the Waking Shores and the Dragon
Qué
Isles
chulo.
went to slumber, they also slumbered. They're back now, and they are ready to raise chaos.
Yeah, they're massive. They're riding giant lava mammoths, parading around, just stomping on your face.
And they were the enemies of the Dragonflight for so long. They fought against the Red Dragonflight, hunted dragons down, and they're really taking this opportunity to rise up. As the Red Dragonflight have the mandate of nurturing life, they don't want to
Pero
just
vamos a ver mucha
stomp
duración.
out the Jarden completely.
Vamos a ver a
but they want to make sure
Calecos
that
y vamos
they
a ver
don't
Destraza
have
mucho,
the
¿no?
power
Tiene pinta.
to affect those around them negatively, to make sure they don't go on a rampage and destroy the ecosystem that has been created here.
And so those are awesome things in the Waking Shore. But Steph, there really is only one right answer for the best thing in Waking Shores, right?
What?
This is true. Ducks.
We finally have those webbed feet
Patos!
hooligans in our game. We cracked the
Patos!
technology.
They
We've
can
got them.
figure it out. They can fly.
You should be proud.
¡Patos!
It's gonna be awesome.
Mejor
The
expansión.
Onaran Plains
La mejor
come right
expansión.
after the Waking Shores.
¡Patos!
It's so breathtaking at first glance.
The Onaran plains are big, wide open plains. And the
Let's
player is
go.
going to be constricted a little bit, and then you see this big contrast of a zone. We don't always get that opportunity, that cinematic moment where the player can have a framed view when they see this area.
Come out and you got that postcard shot
love
of the
that.
plains. And then you see this giant fire proto-dragon breathing fire and a herd of centaur like harpoon down the proto-dragon and crash into the ground. And the first thing you get to do is go help them kill the proto-dragon. Like, how cool is that?
Who is Onara?
Onara is the wild god of the wind. And she's appeared before as like this big spirit eagle. She's the one who guided the centaur to the Dragon Isles many, many years ago. She blessed them, took their caravan across, and then showed them the plains.
How fun at the beginning of this expansion was exploring the culture of the centaur.
The centaur are
Sí
these
que verdad,
mighty,
tiene pinta de ser una
awesome
expansión muy
hunters that
tranquila,
back when
¿eh?
they first came to the Dragon Isles,
Y me
they
gusta.
fought the green dragons all day long.
Me gusta.
Eventually, they realized that we're strong, you're strong. Maybe we should
Tranquilidad.
stop decimating each other's people. We'll make peace, we'll make an agreement. You guys hang out in the groves, and the centaur will hang out in the plains. But now, the dragons have been gone for 10,000 years. And the centaur have come so far since then. And they've been here, and they've been existing and developing their culture. They all came over as one clan led by the mighty Maruf and Tira.
Como Pandaria, ¿no? Que empezó tranquilito y después empezaron los problemas, ¿no? Puede ser,
If
sí.
you want to get across, you have to follow
Puede
their
ser.
rules and their traditions. You have to earn their trust. You are the first outsiders to come in generations upon generations. The centaur might rule the open plains, but the green dragons make their home in the groves. And those groves are absolutely gorgeous.
Son los modelos como los de Ardenwell, ¿no?
And how
Los
great a job
mitad
it is
caballo
that
eso.
we have where I can take all of this beautiful artwork and build these beautiful fantasy groves, high fantasy. We want to do lots of things with an open plain, and we want to be creative with that.
Me
But
gustan las zonas
we're
abiertas, me gusta
restraining
mucho que esté abierto todo, me
ourselves
gusta, me
by
gusta.
Letting the zone sing, letting the horizon tell the story.
Poder
We
volar y
certainly
verlo
could have
todo.
done that
Encima
in
poder volar con tu
vanilla.
dragón.
Definitely not. The zones are
De
so
lujo.
big, and you can see so far, especially in Onaran Plains. So we talked to the engineers, and we actually increased that distance.
It spurs you on to want to adventure and look through the zone and explore everything.
The interesting thing for me is we have all these conflicts with the Dragonflight.
Conflictos en los vuelos, ¿vale?
Missing dragons, there's battles, there's so much crazy stuff happening, but that's not really all we're doing. There's so much extra fun activities.
Man,
for people
no hay
to do.
ningún
And the
drama muy
greatest
grande en la
thing is that
expansión.
You need to
Está muy
figure out
bien.
exactly what's going on and help solve all the problems that are just sprouting up everywhere.
We're just really excited to tell a story that's grounded in Azeroth and exploration.
Pero
There's
hacer
so
un
much more
momento
to talk
clásico,
about.
momento de
But now,
misiones
we're gonna have some
tranquilitas
folks
y ver el
talking
mundo.
about the next two zones that players can
Muy bien.
experience in the Dragon Isles.
Azur, Span y
Hello, everyone.
Taldrassus.
My name is Kate. I'm Christy. I'm Kate.
I'm Sean. We're going to talk today about Taldrassus and the Azure Span. So Azure Span is going to be the third zone that players adventure
Tercera zona,
through,
la
and it's one of
aventura.
our biggest zones that we've done in the Dragonflight, maybe even to date.
We knew it was going to be like the largest visual elevation change, and it really started with this great concept art. When we first were taking a look at the design, we kept coming back to one of our favorite Wrath zones, which was Grizzly
Debe
Hills.
decir, se parece
And
mucho a
we
Colina
really wanted
Parda.
to take that, but
Me
wowify
recuerda
it
eso.
more. And I don't know if you've ever been up to the Bay Area, But in the morning, that coastal fog comes in and dips down into the redwoods, and that sun shines through. That's really what we wanted to encapsulate with this forest.
Muy bonito.
Not only we have redwoods, we've got all different types of trees. Eventually, it'll break open into this wide open tundra that's just golden and red, and you will reach up to another level of elevation where you get to see the snow. The majority of the zone is covered in snow and ice. We have giant frozen waterfalls, ice rivers as far as the eye can see.
Son zonas muy refrescantes, ¿verdad? Muy que te apetece estar ahí.
Expect our first creatures.
We have a small group that lives there called the Gnolls. These gnolls are all throughout the forest and Azure Span.
Gnolls ya los conocemos, ¿no?
Home. Some gnolls with strange magic that we're going to find out.
Oh, qué chulo.
That's about.
Está gracioso.
Gnolls, or as I call them,
tan chulo, tan gracioso.
Up in the winter area, and then some regular gnolls that are just going to be around the forest area. So then we go into the big open tundra where we meet our second group, the Tuskar.
It's going to be really neat to explore their culture a lot more. And those kids are adorable. I absolutely love the Tuskar. Honestly, all my downtime's probably just me hanging out with the Tuskar.
So it's been a little while since we've seen them. We remember the Tuskar from Wrath of the Lich King. They're also getting a nice, cool up-res for their models, along with expanding their culture. So there are going to be male Tuskar, female Tuskar, Tuskar kids. So we're going to fight alongside them, which includes help from certain dragons, the blue dragons. We're going to follow the story of Caligos.
Mira Caligos aquí, Full HD. Hola, y hace falta Caligos Full HD.
Syndragos' archives. It's a giant zone. There's a lot of
los archivos de Syndragos.
Down there, we head over to Aldrazes.
It's really incredible because you will be going through some of the previous zones and seeing a lot of ruins for the dragon buildings. But when you get to Thaldrazes, everything is perfectly intact. It's beautiful. It's pristine. It is the seat of power for all 5 Dragonflights and home of the dragons. It feels that way with the huge vertical mountains. We've got these great cave systems where you may end up finding little dragon hordes.
My favorite Dragonflight right now is the Bronze.
Qué guay.
They've got a really cool area in Thaldrazes, and their magic is time. There's so many cool story hooks that we could dig into there. There's so many cool gameplay options. And we have a little bit of an adventure for players. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Juega con el tiempo, en plan, puede ir atrás adelante y contarte historias,
their
¿no?
old stomping grounds. One of the really cool features is going to be the main city and player hub for this expansion, Valdraken. It is a culmination of all of the dragon's efforts to put together what a city would look like. So we ended up having a bunch of really fun small vignettes where you see that the blue Dragonflight is hosting a public library, and the red and green Dragonflights both have their own separate gardens. We'll also have some convenient services for players, including an auction house in the city, which will be really nice.
Casa de subasta en la Isla de los Dragones.
The thing that really sold me on Thaldrazes was the initial concept art we got of Tierhold.
Oh, yeah.
Wow. And this is a 10,000-year-old Titan technological marvel. Tierhold has these awesome aqueducts that actually come out from the structure all the way to the city across the valley. And in the cinematic, there's just this amazing shot where you see Alexstrasza swoop under one of them, and there's splashes of water cresting across her wings. So when players are flying around themselves, they get to have their Alexstrasza moment. What an incredible place and filled with so much history.
Tierhold was built by Tyr. He was a Titan Keeper back in the day who helped the Aspects fight Galakron. And when they settled on the Dragon Isles, he built this facility. And even though Tyr's gone, the dragons have held him in reverence. But that was 10,000 years ago, and they've let the Titans maintain the place. An incredible amount of history has happened since then. Lights have been nearly wiped out. There have been invasions, betrayals. Aspects have died. And these are the kind of things that leave marks on a society. So now they're all back here, and they're all here together.
As we were designing the zone and the city itself, we're trying to figure out, how do we tell those stories at the same time as making sure that this is a really convenient place for players to go and, go shopping, as they tend to do. So much adventuring happening on the Dragon Isles.
It's so cool.
As a player, you probably don't have your own dragon wings. You are going to learn the art of dragon riding.
It's so vertical, and I'm just excited to dive off the tops of towers and swoop under things.
It's actually one of the things that we're about to learn about next.
¿Cómo montar a tu dragón? Hi, I'm Jake. Va a hablar de la clase, ¿no?
And I'm Graham, and I'm really excited to talk to you guys today about the Dracthyr Evoker.
Tía, este me recuerda a Tom Holland, tío, el de Spider-Man. ¿No recuerda? ¿Tiene un aire?
Not only the Evoker, but also dragon riding, which is our exciting expression
into the exploration of the Dragon Isles. We knew with a dragon-themed expansion, we wanted to let you play a dragon. Not a big dragon, Alex Straza size. That'd be tough to fit in the raids.
No podemos montar la Straza. Vale.
But a
No
draconic
podemos.
humanoid. So the Dracthyr,
Muchas gracias, Crown, por tu Prime. Gracias a los que estáis suscribiendo, Lo tengo en pausa las subs, después las pongo. Pero muchas gracias a todos, tío.
If you want to start on the Horde or Alliance side on character creation.
So let's talk a little bit about the Evoker, the class they can be. What's unique about it is because the Dracthyr are created by an aspect, they have the ability to wield the magic of all 5 Dragonflights. So Evokers can take advantage of red magic and blue magic and bronze magic.
And to show that, we created a visual, what we call a prismatic effect. This prismatic effect is basically the coalescence of all their energy as they channel it into whatever spell that they're going to cast. You have a red magic spell called Pyre. So when you shoot it out of your mouth, it twirls in the air with all 5 of the Dragonflight's magic as it turns into the red spell before landing on your enemies and exploding and hopefully burning them.
I'll take that one.
Getting that vibe across that they use all 5 was really important to us, but we did want to make sure that each specialization focused on 2, because casting 5 different colors gets a bit messy. So their damage dealer specialization, their first of 2, Devastation, mostly focuses on red.
¿Tiene 2 de
red
daño?
being very fast and
¿Y
explosive,
una de healer?
burning everything
¿Cómo?
with Pyre. Whereas blue is more focused and overwhelming.
Tiene 2 de
You shoot a
DPS.
beam of energy out of your mouth to
2 de
disintegrate
DPS y
one
una de
single enemy
Heal.
in front of you.
Una de
There's a
fuego,
healer
otra de
spec
Frost
called
y otra de
Preservation.
Heal.
The healer spec is going to focus
Oh.
mostly on your green and your bronze magic. So your green is going to be evocative of the Emerald Dream, your
Una y
growth and
una.
your
No me he
nurturing
enterado bien.
spells. And then you have your bronze magic, which is going to be more timey-wimey. So you get to
Wanda, lo que te voy a hacer
heal a little
banear porque eres un
faster.
subnormal de los cojones, ¿vale? De verdad, vete a tomar por culo, cómeme los huevos. Lleva una hora dando por culo, vete a tomar por culo, anda.
To have a physical connection.
No me apetece ni discutir contigo, vete a tomar
We
por
have a
culo.
new type of spell called Empower, where when you actually hold down the button on your keyboard, it charges up the spell. The longer you charge it up, it might do more damage or hit
Vale,
more
habilidades
targets depending on the
cargadas,
spell.
muy bien,
It gives
ok.
you this really physical connection and control that's new for World of Warcraft, and I think is feeling really
¿Verdad?
good.
No hay
It has
habilidades
some
cargadas,
great
¿no?
Animations, thank you, Andy. You're
Es verdad.
You feel physical when you're
No hay ninguna
casting
habilidad que sea
spells.
cargada en el
You can
WoW.
actually fly around the battlefield and cast while you're flying.
Todo casteo.
Rain, fire, and death from above. It's great.
En plan, como la QDB, ¿no? En plan,
addition to
cargarla.
the gameplay, though, another part of feeling draconic
Sí,
is
Paul, llega un
looking
poquito
like a
tarde, sí,
dragon.
estamos aquí
We're
hablando
talking
de
about
toda la
dragons breathing
expansión.
fire, but you know what's actually fire?
What's actually
These
fire?
customizations.
Oh my goodness.
But no, they're really, really
They're
cool.
awesome.
Because you have both your draconic form and your humanoid form.
Me gusta
And
la forma humana,
the customization
La humana
options
está
for
muy
both
guapa. Esta no, está feísima.
Very good.
What about color? Just tell me.
Yo quiero jugar de humano. Mira qué guapo de
So
humano.
your visage form can have scales that are the same color as your Dracthyr form.
But my favorite, super favorite part of customization for the visage form, hair.
Yeah.
Because I can actually do this in game.
Yeah.
The tech is here. We finally did it. As players
Oh, qué
make their way
guapo,
through
con
each of the
derradito del
areas
pelo.
of the Dragon Isles, they'll partner up with the Dragonflights to move through the air as they've never done before. You'll notice I did not say flying because flight has a very specific meaning for World of Warcraft.
Yeah, it does.
And we're talking about something new called dragon riding.
And as the players are honing their dragon riding skills, they're going to get to see all new animations that go along with the different look and feel of the drakes.
We're aiming to shake up movement with this new system, providing players with a deeper immersion with forces like momentum and gravity.
We knew that for
Pero han dicho,
Dragonflight,
no,
we
de
were gonna have
tirarte
the
de sitios altos y
opportunity
coger
to show
velocidad.
players a whole new set of Dragon Isle drakes, completely unique from all the other things they've seen in World of Warcraft. And so we wanted to come up with a movement system that would add that sense of physics, weight, and gravity, like you were mentioning. We knew it was going to take a huge team effort, not just animation, but it was going to take effects.
Why?
It was going to take the engineering team, who we rely on heavily, and that combined with some new animations really helps to lend that feeling of physics as you move through the air in ways that you haven't before. And the icing on the cake is going to be some really cool effects that we've added on top of all of that. So for example, when you start hitting, maximum velocity, you're going to see contrails coming off the edges of the wings. And then as you do your rolls and spirals, you build up more and more speed. There's going to be
Sí,
some
como los
screen
efectos
effects
visuales de que va
on the
muy
display to
rápido.
indicate that
Está
you're
bien.
reaching maximum velocity,
Está bien.
which really
Guay.
adds to the overall
Para poder
kind of
volar de forma más
immersion,
divertida. Está
sense
bien
of
eso.
reality.
Sí.
As players make their way through the Dragon Isles, they'll discover new cosmetic options to
Que sea
fine-tune
bonito
their
moverte por el
Dragon
mapa.
Isle
Está muy bien eso.
appearances. Things like snoots, horns, tails,
elusive Dragon Isle Drake armor.
Ese dragón está muy chulo, ¿eh? Ese último.
Definitely. Okay. We want to provide players with all new skills to play with, as those who can use their momentum.
Sí, esto lo puedes ver después en diferido, no te preocupes, Careta, está en YouTube.
And bring on new, more difficult challenges.
We just have so many new, gorgeous options to choose from, and I'm just so excited for all of them.
I'm excited for the whole thing. I mean, it's been a lot of fun to work on, but I can't wait to actually get in the game, play it with you guys.
I can't wait. I can't
Y eso
wait
en que me ayuda a subir el DPS. Nada, han dicho que quieren hacer...
You're going to hear about the talent revamp
cambio de los
and the
talentos.
UI changes
Justo
coming
aquí.
in Dragonflight.
Cambio de la interfaz y de los talentos. Han dicho que no van a poner ningún sistema tocho de expansión, que van a trabajar en la base del juego. Tiene pinta que no va a haber poder prestado.
I'm Crash.
I'm Jay.
And I'm Laura. We are very excited to share we are finally revamping the WoW HUD UI.
And it is also time for a major revamp to talents and specializations.
I have a big
Me ha gustado mucho eso, lo de que puedas moverte la interfaz.
Finally revamp the WoW HUD.
My guess is like 15 years.
Close, 18 years.
18
years.
Wow.
You know, technology has changed a lot since we made the UI back in 2004. Now we have
Esto
like
lo dije
bigger
cuando jugué,
monitors,
tío,
and
al Final
us, we have
Fantasy.
better dev tools
Molaría
to
tela
work
poder
with,
moverte las
so
cosas.
it makes sense to have the revamp right now. Also, if you look at the game today, the art evolved beautifully over the years. And if you look at the HUD looks like it got frozen in time.
So when we approached this, we wanted to create a layout experience that players could customize, move things around, adjust it to fit their needs.
Add-ons today, they do a lot for player customization.
The downside is that not everybody uses
Chavales,
them.
que sí,
It's
que
about
entran, no hemos
time
enterado.
that everybody
Que matar.
has the opportunity to use them, that they become a part of the base UI.
Si esta hace mal la expansión, me cago en su muerto. Que de vez de hacer mal la expansión, me cago en su muerto. Me da igual, me voy a cagar los muertos todo el mundo.
It allowed us to add new
Me da igual.
functionality to
Si lo hace bien,
improve
enhorabuena,
accessibility
le
in
como
a
los
lot of
huevos.
areas.
Si lo hace mal,
And
me cago
on
en su
top of
muerto.
that, we are going to
No
be
pido más.
improving the art.
Yeah, so the art update, it's a big part of the
Vale, cambios en la UI, reworka la UI entera.
Charm and personality, and players have been using that for 18 years. So, with that in mind, we want to respect the players who really like the current UI, but do it more
Antes de enseñar una captura, quiero verla bien.
removing the clutter and giving more visibility for your gameplay. So
seguramente la pongan más.
it looks
Mira.
bigger, and the health bar
Sí,
is also
la
much
vida
bigger.
más
If you
moderna.
look at the
Sí.
action bars and the bottom menus,
Oh, más
they
limpio,
have
más
less
limpio.
headframes,
Más limpio,
and
sí.
it can really open up
Más
your
limpio.
gameplay, so you don't have a lot of your UI in front of you. And of
Hasta que te
course,
cagas.
you want to find
O sea, siguen manteniendo
pieces from the current
las
HUD, but we
gargolitas del
wanna
huevo y
bring
eso,
it
pero
back
más
in a
limpio
nice
todo.
way.
Me gusta.
So
Está muy bien,
we for
sí,
sure
está bien.
updating the griffins. They look so nice now.
Aunque,
And
también
the
te digo,
horde, don't worry. We got you.
Deberían de poner un
You're
botón
gonna
para
have
que la
your
gente use la interfaz antigua si
So
le
let's
gusta,
talk about the enemies.
Porque si no la gente se
We
va a
are
enfadar.
putting a mode in that will let players move various HUD elements around on the screen. So I'm able to move the mini-map, say, from the right
Buah,
corner
esto
all the way
es
over to
God,
the left corner.
Un
If I
move
wanna bring my
anything.
action bars from the
Esto,
bottom
tío,
and
sin
touch them more
addons
in the
es
center
la
by my
polla.
character, those are
Esto
all
sin addon
things
es
that
la
I'll be able to
polla.
do. Absolutely. And each of those different
Es la
components will
polla,
have
tío.
various sets of options
Me
that you'll be
encanta.
able to
Que no te
work
haga
with.
falta
They'll
addon
be
para mover
able
las cosas en la
to
pantalla.
Save it, edit it, copy it.
Lo
name
mejor
it.
que han hecho.
Also, it'll remember which spec you're in. So if you're someone who jumps around a lot,
Recuerda en qué
as
spec
you switch,
está.
it will switch to whatever HUD layout you have for that
Buah, te lo
spec.
guarda por spec.
This is an
Buah, de
ongoing
lujo.
project.
De
We're going
lujo.
to keep working on it. So
O sea,
we really
como un
wanna get back
Elwi
to
in-game.
project
Me
that we're all
encanta,
excited
me
about
encanta.
that we've been collaborating a lot on is something that's pretty UI intensive, and that's the talent system.
It hadn't changed in a long time, like you said before, and we really started
sistema de
with
talentos?
how can we have players have more choice over what their character has?
As you level up, we give you a new spell or a new ability, something that kind of makes you stronger.
Los puntitos de talento como en Classic, ¿no?
By the designers.
Vale.
We decide the order.
Yeah, we started looking for a
De
system
verdad,
that
chavales,
would
lo que.
give players a much
Es
wider
que
set
de
of
verdad os tengo que decir que deje de hacer su normal, de verdad. Tengo que meter ban, a cualquiera que diga tontería, de verdad. Hace falta, de verdad.
Different class utility, and then we have a spec tree.
Siguiente que diga algo, le meto ban. Y además perma, yo no meto ban de 5 minutos, meto ban perma. Y te jodes. Y yo no veo las peticiones, Meto ban perma.
There's a big nostalgia hit for me.
As we said, we have these two trees because we feel like picking a specialization is a really important part of your World of Warcraft character now. And so we want to make sure that when you choose that, it kind of affects the tree in some way.
Yeah, as soon as you open your talent tree, you'll see something new. The class side will have some abilities filled out for free, just kind of starting you off in that spec you've chosen, but then you'll have your first point to spend in the class tree, which could be something related to that
sobre todo si eres DPS y quieres aportar soporte, o si eres soporte y quieres aportar la magia, eso está guay. Tipo, estoy pensando cómo aportar eso a las míticas plus. Tipo de ser, yo qué sé, rogue suti pero tener habilidades a rango como el forajido, algo así. Puede estar chulo, ¿sabes? Como para alguna mamorra tenemos mobility. Ahí está el convoque, Está el convoque. Está el convoque. Tenés el convoque de Geal. Tenés el convoque como resto. Se queda. Se queda. Míralo.
It's not something we want people to feel locked into.
Solamente con healer,
So one of the things that we'll be preserving is the ability to change these talents at the same kind of frequency that you do now.
Yeah, the old school players, when you see trees this time, just think, yeah, I'll go from my raid night to my arena match and figure out what I think is the best for both of them.
Sí. A los de Classic esto les va a encantar, porque es volver a lo antiguo. Mira, vale. Para guardarte las builds, se las han puesto ahí abajo. Está perfecto.
Talents were really about the breadth of options. We've made all these different cool things over the years, but when are they at their coolest? It's when players can hold the building blocks of what can make up
la forma de árbol. Ni idea, no me sé los iconos.
In a way that works for them.
So these are really cool features that we've been working long and hard on.
Yo nunca he vivido lo que son el sistema de talentos antiguos, así que lo veo de cero. Va a estar guapo.
We can't wait to see the reaction that you have to them, and please reach out to us and let us know your thoughts on
que una de las cosas nuevas sea traer una cosa de Classic. Joder. Vale, profesiones, se viene.
Hi, I'm Joanna. And I'm Eric, and we're going to talk about our plans for professions in Dragonflight.
Háblame de cómo trabajarme la verga.
And they've seen lots of really cool incremental updates over their life. But for Dragonflight, we want to do something a bit different. We really want to rethink professions and figure out how to make them part of your identity as a player, if that's what you want.
We really want to make sure that
han puesto que puedes guardarte builds de talentos, ¿eh? Lo han puesto, lo han enseñado.
That brings us to our first update, something that we're calling crafting orders.
Pedido de artesanía.
If you want to have something crafted for you, but you don't have the skill
Esto me encanta,
to do it for yourself, you can have it crafted through a
Puede hacer un pedido
you can basically browse
de artesanía.
any of the recipes that can be crafted, pick the one you want for yourself, and then you include some or all of the reagents needed for the recipe, including ones that only you can get your hands on. You can find someone in person to do it right in front of you for
Qué guapo. En plan, o sea, que puedes venderlo de normal o puedes comisionar en subasta.
You can pick, do you want to send the order to anyone, sort of a
Qué
public
guapo.
order, or do you want to only send it to your guild, or to a specific other player? Maybe it's a friend.
Para si necesito un alquimista en subasta, hay gente que se ofrece para hacerte el pedido y se lo pides.
You're going to be the best at what you do.
One of the coolest things about this is the item you had crafted can also be soul-bound. In the past, you could only get your hands on crafted soul-bound items by having that profession yourself.
Vale, los objetos que se ligaban.
Which is really neat. And
ahora
really
no se ligan los objetos que creas. Eso está muy bien, ¿eh?
That we can provide that
Eso está muy bien.
powerful because everyone can have them.
Ahora, la gafa de ingeniería las puede usar cualquiera que no sea ingeniero.
Also really cool because it means as a crafter, you can start building your client base. People are going to come back to you to get certain
Crafted
items.
quality.
You're the best at making it, or you
¿Qué es eso, crafted quality?
Extra. You're also going to be leveling up your profession.
Calidad de crafteo.
So the first time you go to craft, you're going to notice a lot of different things, but probably the biggest is the introduction of quality, both to your crafted items and your gathered reagents. Quality
y a los
works in a pretty simple
componentes.
way. If you craft something that's a higher quality, it's just going to be better. For a piece of gear, that probably means a higher item level. If it's, for instance, a potion, that might mean a more powerful effect at a higher quality.
And we're doing a lot of new things in the UI. We've put a lot of work
las pociones
into it to
depende de
make
quién
sure
te la
that the
crafte,
professions
cura
feel
más.
really special and unique.
And another thing you might notice in the crafting UI that's new is the introduction of stats, specifically to your professions, both.
A ver, está bien eso, porque ahora van a facilitar que cualquiera te pueda hacer las cosas de profesión, aunque tú no tengas la profesión. Está bien. Tipo, ahora no te renta tener un alquimista nivel 1. Ahora se lo tienes que pedir a un alquimista, pero puedes hacer un pedido y ya está, ¿sabéis? Que te lo hagan.
As far back as original World of Warcraft, with Dragonflight, you can go out and earn specialization points in a whole bunch of different ways. So maybe you find an old book on a bookshelf in a ruin somewhere, or a hermit in a cave who can teach you a little bit about your profession. So let's say you're a blacksmith, and you might decide that first you want to become an armor smith. And the more points you spend in armor smithing, the better you're going to get at crafting all armor.
This also means that if you specialize one way, other people in your guild may specialize in a completely different path. So this means that your guild could have several top blacksmiths and everybody is providing something unique.
¿Estos son los sets?
Which is really cool.
Now that reminds me of another update. We're actually adding crafting tables to all the different crafting professions. We're going to take those, we're going to put them all in the main city of Valdrakken, and
les como la polla.
See all
Les como la polla, vamos.
crafting their items at their cool crafting.
Les como la polla.
Yeah, it means you're going to walk into the city and you're going to see like all these alchemists huddled over here, and you're going to see all these blacksmiths over by the forge. There will be other players filling orders or grabbing orders. There's going to be a whole new crafting area that's going to make you feel really part of the world.
It just seems like a much more lively area than it has in the past.
What I'm most excited about, though, is the gear. We're introducing new types of gear for every profession, and when you go to
Qué guapo estas piezas de profesiones.
Switch into that gear, it's going to be really great.
Qué guapo.
You're not going to have to carry that stuff around in your backpack anymore. There's actually going to be dedicated slots.
Espacios dedicados para cada pieza de profesión. Oh, eso mola, eso mola. Eso mola.
All pieces of profession gear will have
eso mola.
Special stats that we mentioned
before. Es en plan roleplay tonto, pero para casual, para farmear y eso mola, tío. Mola. Que te pongas el gorrito de minería para minar y el pico. Está guapo, tío.
Into the Dragonflight deep dive.
You've heard a lot about the content and changes coming in Dragonflight, and we've got a lot more in store for you in the coming months.
Until then, we'll see you in Azeroth.
¿Y ya está? Ya está, se acabó. Sí. Se acabó, se acabó. La beta, ¿ya está para apuntarse a la beta? Aquí está, míralo. Las Islas Dragón despiertan. Adéntrate en una nueva era de aventuras. Dragonflight.blizzard.com. Y el art de Alestraza, correcto. Lo que vimos exactamente. Tercera beta, ahora nos apuntamos. Descubre las Islas Dragón. Nueva raza y clases jugables. Evocador Dragthir. Domina las Islas Dragón con el nuevo evocador Dragthir, la primera combinación exclusiva de raza y clase de World of Warcraft. Aquí el typo es genial, ¿eh? Herencia dracónida. Los evocadores Dragthir pueden cambiar a voluntad entre dos formas personalizables, un aspecto humanoide y una temible forma dracónida para luchar contra sus enemigos. Yo quiero la forma humanoide. La forma dracónica no me gusta nada, la verdad. No me gusta nada. Elige tu facción. Puede ser Ali Horda, estupendo. Experiencia introductoria, tienes tu propio leveo. ¿Qué os parece el modelo? ¿Os gusta? A mí el modelo no me gusta. O sea, entiendo que a la gente le puede gustar, pero a mí este modelo para jugarlo yo no me mola. La verdad, pero no es mi gusto. Igual que no me gustan los druidas, no me gusta este modelo de dragón. Las cosas como son, no me gusta. En humanoide me flipa, ¿eh? En humanoide me flipa. Quizás aquí ha cogido un modelo más feo, pero mola. Falta tanque. Bueno, especializaciones. Mira. Puedes luchar a media distancia con garras y su aliento de fuego, devastación, o recurrir a la magia de la renovación para apoyar a sus aliados, preservación. Aquí están las dos. Esta la de fuego, la de DPS. Y la otra la de healer. Ahí está. Good. Facultades potenciadas. Los evocadores Dragthir pueden potenciar sus facultades de dracónida mediante la magia. Carga tus ataques y libéralos en el momento exacto para aumentar sus efectos. ¡Ah, como en el Lost Ark esto! Esto es como en el Lost Ark, ¿eh? Que tienes una barrita y tienes que pararla en el momento correcto para tener el daño a tope. ¡Ah! Yo creía que era cargarla en plan hasta que la tuvieses cargada, pero no, es en el momento justo. ¡Oh! Mola, tío, mola, mola. En plan, un nuevo tipo de spell. Guay, 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 tío, guay, guay. Habrá que probarla, ¿no? Conviértete en jinete de dragones. Domina el arte de montar dragones, una nueva forma de desplazarte por los cielos. Explora las nuevas zonas y consigue 4 nuevos dracos de las Islas Dragón. Monturas únicas que puedes personalizar a tu gusto. Con millones de combinaciones posibles, jamás verás 2 dracos iguales. Y aquí unos pocos, ¿no? De todos los que hay. Qué diferentes tipos de dragones. Qué guay, ¿eh? Qué guay. Mecánica de los jinetes de los dragones. Domina los cielos. Maniobras especiales para volar, tal. Jinete con talento que lo vas subiendo de nivel. Mayor personalización para poderlo tú, el dragón, como te dé la gana. Está guapo esto del dragón. Mira, que a mí las monturas de dragón no me gustan. Yo es que ya sabes que a mí el tema modelos de dragones no me apasiona. En plan, expansión de dragones está bien. A mí los modelos de dragones no es algo que me llame mucho la atención. Pero he visto algunos modelos aquí del dragón que digo, en plan, qué guapo, tío. Había algunos modelos que digo, qué chulos están, tío, las monturas. Qué chulos estaban. Había algunos que estaban muy guapos, tío. Algunos modelos aquí de dragones estaban muy chulos. Nuevo continente, las Islas Dragón. Las orillas del despertar. Invitados por Alestraza, los héroes de la Horda y la Alianza llegan para ayudar al vuelo rojo en estas tierras asombrosas. Aquí convocará a Uración a los campeones de Azeroth para que lo ayuden a recuperar la ciudadela del vuelo negro de manos del enemigo. Las llanuras de Onara. Estas verdes praderas son el hogar de las poderosas tribus de los centauros Maruk, quienes antaño forjaron un vínculo con el vuelo verde, pero desde la muerte de Ysera los dragones verdes se enfrentan a un futuro incierto. Las tierras azules. Las tierras azules, ancestral hogar de tribus de Gnolls y Furbolgs y de los archivos mágicos del vuelo azul, se extienden por las aldeas costeras Tuskar, las tundas pobladas de bosque y los imponentes picos de las montañas heladas. Esta zona es muy bonita, muy bonita. Esta y las llanuras también, son zonas muy bonitas. Taldrassus. Como más así rúnico y demás, ¿no? Con las piedras aquí arriba, montaña. Sede del poder de los aspectos. Su vuelo se alza como la más brillante joya del reino de los dragones. También es aquí donde el vuelo bronce vigila las líneas temporales para garantizar que tanto el pasado de Azeroth como su futuro permanezcan seguros. El confín olvidado. Esta es muy bonita, ¿eh? Los colores de esto me encantan. Los colores de esta zona. Me encantan. Me encantan los colores de esta zona. Situado frente a la costa de las Islas Dragón, el confín olvidado fue creado por Neltharion como lugar de entrenamiento para sus soldados de élite, los Dragthir. Sin embargo, tras una horrible batalla, la isla quedó abandonada durante milenios hasta que el regreso de un antiguo enemigo hizo que los Dragthir despertasen de su letargo. ¡Ah, que te entrenaba Neltharion a los Dragthir! ¡Oh! La zona de los Dragthir la creó a la muerte. ¡Oh, qué guay! Y esto, vale. Surca los cielos. Cae en picado para tomar impulso, despliega las alas de tu Draco y utiliza tus facultades de jinete para surcar los cielos. Observa tu entorno en busca del lugar perfecto para aterrizar o sorprende a tus enemigos con una muerte desde las alturas. Está guapo este, ¿eh? Como vas pillando velocidad. Está chulo, está chulo. Está chulo. En plan, volado de una forma más cómoda, más bonita. Está muy bien. El modelo este de dragón que están enseñando aquí está muy chulo. La verdad. Me gusta. Me gusta. Descubre nuevas formas de jugar. Nuevo sistema de talentos. Aquí está, se confirma la imagen. Se confirma la imagen. De hecho, mira, sale aquí, lo veis, ¿no? Que puedes guardarte como diferentes... ¿cómo se dice? Diferentes presets. Para Raid, para Míticas Plus, para PvP, para mundo abierto. ¿Sabes? En los talentos sale el convoque como talento. Sí, sale aquí el convoque, sí. ¿Sale en otro sitio más el convoque para apoyo a lo mejor? No sale Inervate, no sale el convoque aquí, ¿no? No sale. Solamente sale como healer, ¿no? Solamente sale como healer el convoque. Ojito, tú irías Heal con kick. True, es verdad. Es verdad. Podría jugar de healer y tener corte. Hostia, eso es muy tocho, ¿eh? Eso es muy tocho. Y se confirma que estos son los sets para Dragonflight. ¡Qué pasada los sets, de Dragonflight! ¡Qué pasada! ¡Qué pasada! Sí, aquí que enseña esto, ¿no? Sí. Balance loadout. Sí. Ah, mira, es verdad. Vale, que tienes tu rama de pollo y que después tienes, en plan, que tienes el convoque y que después tienes de otras clases. Ah, comprendo. Qué guapo esto, ¿eh? Qué guapo los sets de la nueva expansión, ¿eh? Qué guapos, chaval. Qué pasada. Qué pasada. Este es el de Rogue, ¿verdad? El de Rogue está muy guapo. Del Dragthir seguramente, no del dragón. Qué pasada. El del monje es como muy monje de la montaña. Qué guapo, tío. Qué guapo, ¿eh? Qué guapo. A ver cuál es de cada clase. ¿Cuál sería de cada clase? ¿Este qué es? ¿DK? ¿Cuál sería este? El primero. Sería DK, supongo, ¿no? O Rogue, puede ser este el Rogue, ¿eh? Como sea el Rogue este, me como la polla a mí mismo. Me como la polla a mí mismo si este es Rogue. Vale, este es chamán, ¿verdad? Todo el mundo está de acuerdo. Este es chamán, 100%. Chamán, tiene pinta de chamán. Las plumitas y demás, chamán o druida podría ser. Este si no sería el chamán, ¿no? Con los rayos. Sí, este chamán y este druida. Sí, chamán druida. Chamán druida. Sí. Chamán druida. Este es monje. La cintita es muy de monje. Los puños de piedra, las bolitas. Este es de monje. Le pega tela. ¿Este qué es? Este sería el de acá, ¿no? O paladín. Quizá más paladín, ¿no? Este es el warrior, evidentemente. El warrior, una puta piedra. El warrior es una santa piedra. Este es warrior. Este tiene que ser el Dragthir. Este es el dragón. Muy guapo, ¿eh? El Dragthir. Muy guapo el Dragthir. Muy guapo. O DH podría ser. ¿No veis mejor que este sea el Dragthir? Que tiene como de estos dragones. No creo que este sea DK, ¿eh? ¿Este cuál es entonces? Este es brujo o priest, ¿no? Este es priest y este es brujo. Priest y brujo. Priest, brujo. O, no, porque sí, las telas estas son muy de priest. Uy. Este es DH. Este es el DH que tiene los cuernos. Este es el DH. Muy guapo el DH, ¿eh? Esto para un DH venganza. ¡Bof! Un DH tanque con esto, ¿eh? Dios santo. Dios santo. ¿Este cuál es? ¿Este cuál sería? Hunter, ¿no? Por el lobito puede ser. Hunter quizás. O DK. Este sería... Este es un caster, porque está en posición de caster. Este es un caster. ¿Qué caster queda? ¿Qué caster queda? Mago, ¿no? Qué feo el mago, ¿no? No me gusta el mago. No me gusta. ¿Y este? ¿Cuál falta? ¿Cuál nos faltaba? Hunter. Este es el Hunter. Este es el Hunter. Y este es el DK. Sí. Este es Hunter. O sea, entonces está claro, ¿no? Vale. Creo que está claro. Rogue. Buah, el del Rogue. Qué guapo el del Rogue, ¿eh? Del tipo del vuelo negro con el humito detrás. Bof. Rogue, druida, chamán, monje, paladín, warrior, Dragthir, priest, brujo, DH. El del DH es la polla, ¿eh? El del DH es la polla. DK, mago y hunter. ¿Te imaginas que el traje cambie de color por spec? Podrían hacerlo, no es la primera vez que lo harían, ¿no? Creo que con el Druid hicieron uno. No sé. Qué guapo, está muy guapo el concept art este, ¿eh? El penúltimo es el Sacer. Y entonces este es el mago. Podría ser este el mago, ¿no? Y el otro el Sacer. Sí. Es verdad. Es verdad. Podría, pero vamos, este le pega más priest, ¿eh? Este le pega más priest. Ah, bueno, las telas también es que pueden ser de magos, sí. Las inscripciones rúnicas estas pueden ser como magos, sí. Y quizás este priest. Podría ser, podría ser. Podría ser. Qué guapos, ¿eh? ¿Cuáles son vuestros favoritos? El mío, Rogue. El del Dragthir también en la polla. Y el del DH. Me flipan, ¿eh? Me flipan. Y el del Warrior también, ¿eh? El del Warrior es que no llevas armadura, llevas piedras pegadas a tu cuerpo. Son piedras pegadas. Muy guapo. Muy guapo. ¿Cuándo sale? No hay fecha, hijo. ¿Tú de verdad crees que va a haber fecha? Y aquí esto, lo de los talentos, lo de las profesiones que lo hemos visto y el rework a la OI. ¿Qué os parece la OI? Del 1 al 10. ¿Qué nota le ponéis a esta interfaz? ¿Qué nota le ponéis? Mira, os voy a enseñar el chat también, me voy a poner aquí en medio. ¿Qué nota le ponéis a la interfaz? Se ha modernizado, le hacía falta modernizarse, ¿eh? Creo que han mantenido la esencia de WoW, sinceramente. Creo que la han mantenido. Porque sigues teniendo tus gargolitas de WoW, que son muy clásicos, pero mucho más limpio todo esto. Mucho más limpio. Mira, la mochila mucho más moderna. Los iconitos de FPS, WoW y demás más modernos. El mapita redondito más limpio, con el norte, sureste, oeste. La vida no me gusta. La vida no me gusta. No me gusta mucho. ¿Quién usa tan pocos poderes? Nadie. Bueno, ten en cuenta que el DH son 2 botones. A lo mejor el Dragthir son 3 o 1. Si te calientan mucho. A ver, sí, sigue estando Elwi, evidentemente, pero digo que esto puede hacer que mucha gente deje de usar Elwi, ¿no? Me refiero. Si me deja mover las Action Bars, me quito el Elwi. Te deja mover todo. Te deja mover el mapa, el chat, esto de aquí, te deja, las vidas, te deja moverlo todo. Te deja moverlo absolutamente todo la interfaz ahora. Te deja moverla entera. Nuevo límite de nivel 70. Nuevas mazmorras. Combate para recuperar Nelzarus, bastión del vuelo negro. Explora las cámaras olvidadas de Uldaman. Defiende los estanques de vida del vuelo rojo y muchas cosas más. Nueva banda. Adéntrate en la prisión ancestral de las encarnaciones primigenias antes de que se desate su malévolo poder contra los dragones aspectos. Y estos son un poquito de concept arts, ¿no? De la cinemática. La cinemática, ya te digo, la cinemática no me ha despertado nada, no me ha dicho nada. Es bonita. No es, por ejemplo, la de Shadow era como, hostia, ¿qué ha pasado aquí con Silvana? No sé qué. Pero es bonita, ¿sabes? Es bonita. Es más contarte una historia, claro, es contarte la historia. Es bonita, no es para hypearte, es bonita para contarte la historia. Estas zonas muy bonitas, ¿eh? Muy bonitas. Muy guay este palacio, este templo. Una zona así como de montañita, me recuerda a Legión, a la zona de los Tauren. Esta zona me encanta, la tundra boreal esta. Mira, esto es un nuevo modelo de elemental, ¿no? Mola, 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 mola. Estas zonas así como de montaña, qué guapo. Aquí las montañitas y eso, con el magma. Mira, nuevo modelo, un mamut, un ciervito. Muy bonito. Y lo de la cinemática. Muy guay, la verdad. Y apuntarse a la beta. Que me ha apuntado a la beta. Voy a tener que hablar con Ciben para que me dé la alfa, ¿no? Voy a tener que hablar con ella. Para que me tenga en cuenta para la alfa. Le tendré que mandar un mensaje. Vamos, que ella ya me tiene apuntada de cuando me dio la alfa de Shadowlands, pero vamos, voy a hablar con ella otra vez, tipo, porque como no hay ninguna forma de hablar con ellos, no hay ninguna forma de poder estar en contacto todos los creadores de contenido, según me ha dicho ella, ¿vale? Según ella me ha dicho apropiado, no hay forma o no hay nada, no hay una forma de hablar con ella de forma más normal o de hablar con todos los creadores de WoW. Mentira, pero bueno, se lo preguntaré por prueba y ya está, porque seguramente todos los estén pidiendo, en plan por dentro, por donde están todos juntados, creo que no sé, un servidor que tienen ellos, lo que sea. Se lo preguntaré yo por privado, que la tengo agregada. Para que me dé el alfa y cuando esté el alfa, pues la probaremos. 100%, vaya. 100%. A ver cuándo sale. Bingo, ¿qué acertamos? Bueno, de solo queue no han dicho nada, así que, bueno, voy a poner en rojo lo que hemos fallado, ¿no? Solo queue nada, reward de guilds nada, mejora gráfica nada, Account White no han dicho nada, clase Tinker nada, revamp zonas antiguas nada, vuelo dragones, esto indiferente, ¿no? Clase Dragon Knight, eso sí, Alestraza teta gorda, ha salido Alestraza, con lo cual lo voy a dar. ¿Damos como válido Alestraza teta gorda, chavales? O sea, a la muerte Ragnaros sí, ¿no? Ha salido a la muerte, entre comillas, porque vamos a donde está en el Zarion. Lich King Classic, sí. Vuelos dragones, bueno. Clase Dragon Knight, vamos a decir que sí, ¿no? Ha salido Alestraza, no han salido las tetas gordas. Quizá hacemos así, ¿no? Alestraza, tetas gordas no. De hecho, los Dracis son entrenados para la muerte. Sí, es verdad, es verdad. Claro, vale. Clase Ranged Healer. Acierto. Estupendo. Sale en 2023. Esto no se sabe. Esto no se sabe. Razas aliadas nada. Skin de clase nada. Dalaran Main City nada. Silvana nada. Isla de los Dragones. Estaba claro. Nuevo AP. No. Y estoy muy contento. Reward de profesiones. Lo hicieron. Cuarta spec. No lo hicieron. Galacron. En teoría ha salido, ¿no? Galacron. Han hablado de él. Entonces lo damos por válido, ¿no? Igual que a la muerte. Han hablado de Galacron. Igual que han hablado de la muerte. Han hablado, ¿no? Los dragones es raza aliada. A ver, bueno, podemos contarlo como raza aliada. Sí que es verdad. Bueno. Vamos a ponerlo así. Venga, sí. Solo salió una foto. Bueno, igual que a la muerte. Hablar un poquito de que había una zona. Raíces personas nada. Esto evidentemente nada. Nivel máximo 60 nada. Y housing. Nada, y de la China tampoco. Hemos acertado 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, casi 10. Está mal, ¿no?